half-life explained. So that term, that word, that concept, life, half-life, means some very different things depending on the area of science you studied under. So in nuclear physics, that half-life is an explanation for how long an element will persist. So these elements with half-lives will change into something else. And we've studied and understood this very well. That's why we call it a half-life. We've designated it to number of hours, days, years, centuries. An element has a potential to explode. That's what this is. This is an explosion. It's a massive change in energy states of a single atom. So by itself, that is nothing. But when it's near other things, its fallout, its effects are there. We know about them. So again, in nuclear physics, in nuclear reactor properties, in submarine nuclear reactors, which are different than commercial, those half-lives are very important, and they are measured entities in the reactors, and they drive different things, different decisions through the life cycle of the fuel bundle. But the fuel bundle is composed of many elements and compounds, from the outer casing, the walls, the inner casing, the pellets, the covering on the pellets, how closely spaced the pellets are to each other, and the whole rod bundles are to each other. These are all well-engineered, well-determined factors and based upon decay properties. And it's not a simple decay, it's multiple decay chains and the impacts of those. The odds of a particle striking a molecule and changing the molecule into something else. It's that subtle, that tiny, that small, it's reactor embrittlement, it's a whole host of things we understand because of the decay properties of the elements in a reactor. Turn to biology now. Half-life in biology, much different beast. So in biology, you're considering what comes in and out of a system and how quickly it does that. This would be a biological half-life. So when you eat something, a good portion of it passes through you within a day. You recognize that bolus when you flush the toilet, right? Might take a peek to see how healthy you are. So the main food of whatever you ate comes out within a day, but all the elements your body digested, all the compounds and the minerals, those get distributed through your system into your body, and they help build and rebuild and repair and build new. So whatever stage of growth in life you're in, your half-lives use of elements in the environment change. So it's a totally different aspect, a totally different thought process about half-lives. So where would this biological half-life matter? Let's take it back to a specific, an environmental toxin, dioxin, released by major chemical plants and somehow filtered through our society into chemicals being sprayed on roads, dirt roads, across good parts of the nation. Some of the towns that were sprayed were so contaminated and have been abandoned because of the contamination that they're no-go zones. You shouldn't go back there. Walking through would not be an issue, but if you drank the water, if you say fell down and got some of that dirt on your hands, and the pollution is there and we know it. So dioxin has basically a forever life. Okay, it doesn't have a half-life that we know well. It persists in the environment once we've dumped it there forever. That's dioxin. Biologically, doctors understand that dioxin is a carcinogen. It causes cancers, it causes disease, ill health in any population around it, including humans. So we have towns in America abandoned for dioxin pollution because that dioxin is persistent in the ground, it's cumulative in the body, and does bad things. That's a half-life, a biological half-life. If you go look for the human body, ask the question, how many elements are in the human body? Well, it turns out there's only, I think, 7 major elements. One of them is calcium. The largest element in your body is H2O, water. That's, I think, 60% of your body. So you're you got 2 hydrogens for every oxygen in you, at least. So that calcium that's in your body has a half-life. Your body actually will exchange out calcium and replace calcium to build it with fresh new blocks from the foods you eat. So calcium is important. Iron is important. Iron is more important to the female body than the male. And I'm not sure I understand why, but I know it's just true. Well, I do understand why. But these are cyclical things. These are half-lives. This is what our bodies ingest and digest. If you swallow a tablespoon of salt, most of it's going to come out very quickly. But some of it's going to matriculate through your body. It's going to repair. It's going to replace the skin that sheds off of you continuously. How many pounds a year does a human shed? What's your average? I'm pretty high because I've got some flaky skins going on. These are half-life conversations, one way of talking about some of the interactions of the world around us. So in this slow, methodical build that got us here, all of these things interacted and made us what we are. So, quickie on half-lives and what they mean to us. Persistence in your body of externalities, right? An externalist? I don't know. But the conversation is important. This is about pollution's persistence in the environment, the role of the EPA in our environment and our lives, the role of government. If government doesn't work, what does? What is the alternative to a working government? Let me know.